Welcome back into the Rowdy Studio. I'm Stephen Levine. Tom Vandervoort is on the end. We're flanking Bob Pockrass, NASCAR reporter for Sporting News. And Bob, we're going to Daytona this weekend, and I just can't keep up anymore with these ever-changing rules packages. What are we?
There aren't that many changes.
Yeah.
Calm down.
No,
it'll be good.
no.
Happy. You can go. July 4th fireworks.
Oh yeah, because that's calming.
It's yeah. Well, but just think of the fireworks displays are kind of all the same, right? Or at least they don't really change a ton from year to year. Well, there's not a lot of changes. The only change is in that pop-off valve that releases water.
Yeah.
That's going to be set at 32 psi. It was 28 psi. For Talladega.
That's to account for greater temperature.
Well, and so you'll be able to run your water about another 15 to 20 degrees. Now, most drivers believe that NASCAR is doing it because it's going to be a little warmer at Daytona. It's going to be in probably the high 80s for the race. For the Daytona 500, it was in the high 60s.
Right.
NASCAR says it's maybe a little bit of that, but maybe also, or even more so, the fact that, remember at Talladega, the guys said they got too hot when they were in the pack, and they couldn't get
it. The idea is to break up the two-car draft, not break up the pack.
Right, and so, but this will give them a little bit more time to get out of the pack if they see their water temp spiking. Okay,
so do you expect to see any significant difference in the style of racing at Daytona this weekend than we saw at Talladega or Daytona previously this season?
Don't expect a whole lot of difference. The only difference is that there'll be fewer laps in the pack because there are fewer laps in a 400-mile race than a 500-mile race. But you'll see a pack until
we're gonna have a pack
the last 10 laps.
Till it comes to winning time, then people are going to have to sort out into these tandems and decide it that way. Another question I had is, as we look at Daytona, the heat on the racetrack, the asphalt aging, at some point, I'm assuming, at some point, we're going to get back to this being more of a handling racetrack. Have you?
Yeah, some point in our lifetime. I mean,
but not this weekend.
Is there any sense that handling's coming back into the equation?
No, not this weekend. Okay. I don't think so. And you talk about the heat. Heck, Daytona's had it's been cooler in Daytona last week than it was in Kentucky, and it's probably going to be cooler in Daytona this week than it is where you guys here in Charlotte. Yeah, so it's they're talking like 80s. In low 90s during the day instead of hundreds.
Now, another interesting aspect of this is Matt Kenseth going back after he won his second Daytona 500. Now he's going back as a lame duck driver, but leading the points. How does that sort of add up for Matt as he gets back to Daytona?
I don't think it means anything to Matt. This is what Matt's thinking about. He's thinking about, hey, I won the Daytona 500, I can win again. Hey, I lost the race at Talladega. He was in a pretty good position. Remember him and Greg Biffle, and then they couldn't get hooked up together. And he said he's agonized over that since April. So, and then you got Greg Biffle, a guy who maybe could have won the Daytona 500, right? Except he pushed Matt to the win, and everybody's like, oh, Greg, why didn't you do this? And then never got in position to win at Talladega, so he's going to be really chomping at the bit.
So it's more about the race as opposed to some kind of symbolic last time at Daytona in the 17 car.
Yeah, no, I don't think Matt Kenseth's all into symbolism.
I don't think he's not terribly wistful or nostalgic. Yeah. He doesn't strike me as such. Anyway, now
come on. I asked him about the 17 last week, and he was like, "Yeah, I haven't even thought about that."
Right.
He's like, maybe some of my fans with tattoos have thought about it, but I haven't thought about it. So apparently he doesn't have any tattoos.
When does he make
the
his
17?
But he does have fans. Now we had a Ford win the 500. We had a Dodge win at Talladega. So is there any engine manufacturer or make that is better suited to withstand this heating issue, this overheating issue, these pop-off?
I think Ford. Yeah. I mean, Ford is. You had, David Reagan won at Daytona last year in July,
which was just weird.
And so I think the Fords have maybe a little bit of an edge, although I want to say the Toyotas were pretty strong at Talladega.
So in theory, the Fords could get hooked up into a two-car tandem a little bit earlier. In theory.
In theory, yes.
Right.
Yep.
Well, they need to get Carl that win if he wants to make the chase. So I'm sure they'll all defer to Carl.
I'm sure they will. Yeah. I mean, that's the nice thing about the pack racing is that not everything is predetermined anymore like it used to be.
Oh, but team orders.
I mean, you've had that for 20 years of like, will this guy go with me at the end, and will he go with my teammate?
Right.
And You know, I think it'll end up a who helps who. And then, of course, you had this great Brad Keselowski move at the end of Talladega, right, where he was leading and he was able to disrupt the air and break away from Kyle Busch. And so the question is, will anybody try that again, or does everybody now know that it's possibly coming? And
well, Kyle Busch poo-pooed that. He said, "Oh, it wasn't a big deal. That wasn't what." But of course, what would you expect him to say?
I think people are going to. Whoever's in the lead is going to try something like that.
Absolutely. All right, Bob. We got to let you get down to Daytona. So we're gonna end this video so you can go catch your flight and head down to Daytona Beach, Florida. For Bob Pockrass, Tom Vandervoort, I'm Stephen Levine. Thanks for watching.